site preparation.
Yeah.
Reckless, that's one thing. If the proper measures have been taken to protect the tree, the root zone, then things should be, this normally works out. I realize it's a tight space. The contractors may have to have maybe a little bit more care. They won't have as much freedom of room to move around, but,
I would only ask you, you've worked with contractors for a long time. And I appreciate your comment. But don't blame me if I'm a little bit leery about the contract.
I understand. I understand.
That's why we have the tree protection to kind of help.
Yeah, and I think you've seen by the things that we have done at your request,
Right.
that we will
And you
comply with that stuff.
Right. And you're gonna have an arborist on hand or on staff, or whatever you want to call it, throughout the building process, or,
Yes.
okay.
Oh, okay, that's great.
Yep.
That's great.
And I think one of you guys had tried to contact him, and I apologize. He was not available at one time, and I don't know that didn't come about, but.
I did talk with him.
Okay, good. Do you need to visit with him again, or do you need him to meet you at the site or anything? Just let us know and we'll see if we can make that happen. Okay?
Great.
Anything else?
Thank you.
See you next month.
All right.
Okay,
Take
thank
care.
you.
Thank you very much.
We need a motion on the deferral. I moved to defer the Richardson Avenue project till next month, and we can ascertain what the drainage system is gonna be.
An answer.
I'll second it. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are deferred. The next item of business is 105 Sterlington Drive.
How are y'all?
I'm good.
There's only one tree that I'm here for that I told her that I think should be approved, and that's the one that's right by the porch. That tree just doesn't have the full potential to grow to its extent. Tree behind it had the top break out recently. It's gonna have that extra wind flow now. If one broke, I don't see why that one couldn't break right there. Yep. The other ones, maybe future problems, but as far as a tree risk assessment, that's the one that I see. I'm an ISA arborist too, so.
Okay.
just
All
your
right.
Thoughts on that?
Okay. What's question?
That's tree number one.
That's
right?
tree number one.
Okay.
And if-
Make a motion to approve removal of tree one. One closest to the porch area. You want to discuss anything else on that?
Well, I have a question.
Mhm.
If you're the arborist, is that correct?
I am, yes, sir.
Okay, so the arborist is requesting removal of one. Is the application up for 5 trees? Do we not have to consider all?
We do. We visited the site. We saw, we met the owners.
Absolutely, yeah.
Um,
No, I mean, of course, the customer wants all of it gone, but that's just not realistic, right? Not in my eyes.
We don't find a reason, I don't believe, to have all of them removed.
I agree.
But we had discussion about, compromise compensation for this and that. And so my feeling was to take out 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
And I mentioned to her, the owner, that that would just leave a big hole in that yard. She was mostly concerned, obviously, about tree number 1 and the roots she had already discovered going under the slab.
Right.
Tree number 4, which is the one directly in the back of the picture, was again close to the house, nowhere near as threatening as tree number 1.
Right.
So another option would be to have removed those 2 and leave everybody else. Those are equal. But I'll pass it on to other comments and thoughts.
So, as an arborist who's done an inspection, do you have a sense of the status of the tree we're calling 4?
Which one's for the one on the corner?
Is the one that,
Right there.
that's in
That
the
one.
middle of the foreground.
Other than it being close to the house, and then, it's pretty much like a Y effect in the backyard because there's no sunlight in the middle. Those ones closer to the house will continue to grow that way towards the house because of sunlight. And then the ones obviously in the back are going to grow towards the pond. The soil sucks back there. I mean,
Yep.
it's awful. There's not even a weed, there's not even a weed growing back there. And
I know.
I'm actually being subcontracted by a landscaper to do the tree work. So hopefully he can fix that for her. That's going to be on him. But as far as the trees go, I mean, I could definitely see that one coming down too. But, you know, I came here just to make sure that one by the porch, just to give her some kind of satisfactory safety at her home.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a favor, and that
Okay.
is, it mentioned to the landscapers during the work that we feel, as certified arborists and as people have also been in the business quite a while, that, some airspace aeration back there
Absolutely.
and some introduction of mulch would solve a lot of her problems.
Yeah.
So and if you would recommend that strongly,
Yeah,
I think that they might be amenable.
that airspace and vertical mulching would help definitely. Absolutely. Yep.
Maybe get rid of the ducks.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, the ducks are awful back there. She has, I think she feeds them. She has to. It's like the crazy cat lady, but with ducks in that neighborhood. But she's very sweet and nice Korean lady. And she was so nervous to even have y'all come out there. And I'm like, it ain't gonna be that bad.
No, she was
So-
fine.
She was
She was
fine.
quite up. So with that in mind, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to amend Bob's, motion to include number 4, so that to approve the removal of tree number 1 and tree number 4. My idea being that removal of 4 will move it another tree away from the house, but also could open up sunlight in the backyard. And number 3, which is pretty much one-sided,
Mhm.
would fill out, hopefully would fill out once a bit more sun.
All right. The first motion wasn't seconded, but we now have an amended motion. Let's vote on the amended motion. First, I'll second it. All those who are in favor of the amended motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Now you vote on the original original motion, which now includes the amendment. All those in favor of that motion, say aye.
Say that again now.
You have to vote first on to allow the amendment,
Okay, gotcha.
and then second, you have to vote on the amended motion.
Okay.
So now we're voting to remove 1 and 2, essentially.
1, 4.
Each 1 and 4, excuse me, I'm sorry.
So we just sent- okay. So this is to approve the removal of 1 and 4, is that correct?
Correct.
I approve.
A second.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Trees 1 and 4, the ones closest to the house. There you
Okay,
go.
great. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for coming. Next up is 127 Plantation Drive.
Good morning.
Morning.
So we requested 2 trees be removed. A pine tree that is basically in our neighbor's yard, but is in 2019 and essentially destroyed our driveway. The neighbor actually in 2019 put a permit in to have that tree removed. That permit was approved. Unfortunately, by the time we paid for the driveway to get repaired and all that, we didn't have the money to move the tree, so that permit expired. I have that permit if you want to see it. But we did have the driveway repaired. But the driveway now is behind it is already cracked. I don't know if you look behind the fence, but you can see the big crack has already come across.
Was that part of the new construction of the repair of the driveway?
Yeah, that's.
That
what-
concrete
that's what we
was?
did in 2019. Yes, and it's already cracking again.
We saw that.
So that's the one thing that we're asking to be removed. It's 7 foot from her house and about 7 feet from our driveway. It's right there in the middle. And I do have a letter from her saying that we're allowed to remove that. And then the second tree is 7 feet from, on the other side, it's one of, I don't know if it's a pin oak or what.
Water oak.
But we're just concerned that that's right on our property line with our neighbors. And we're concerned already. We got one brick that's cracking over there already. The the roots are already up against the house, as you can see when, where I dug that out, if y'all came out there. So we're asking that to be removed off. I mean, there's plenty of trees in the yard. I'm not trying to get rid of all the trees or anything else. We're just trying to protect the property, mostly because when the driveway cracked and we had to replace it because it was really not, we couldn't even drive over it. We called the insurance out and the insurance said, we're not gonna pay for it. You should have the tree removed. So I don't want to be in that situation again, especially with the house or the driveway.
Is there a chance you could have had a gravel driveway?
No, it's concrete.
But I mean, is there a chance that that could have been a solution?
Not with the neighborhood, not in plantation, no.
I'm trying.
That, the water oak, the roots that go up to the house, I saw where you had it exposed, but, I couldn't really tell that they were doing the damage. You certainly have roots over there. Have you thought about trying to root prune along that edge of the house foundation like
So
that?
about, I don't know, probably 8 years ago, I put a sprinkler system and I did. I don't know if you noticed right on the edge of where I was digging there, I had dug down about the 18 inches, put the sprinkler pipe through there. And I took all those roots out at that point, but they've already all grown back. And again, there's only one brick that has a crack in it right now. I can't swear that that's from those tree roots pushing against it or not.
Right,
I'm concerned that might
yeah,
cause more damage.
that's a legitimate concern, but I think there is some type of root barrier you could put down there also that would keep the roots from trying to get into that foundation space.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
As far as the driveway, when was that redone?
The end of 2019,
Okay,
like December 2019.
and there again, I'm just wondering the size roots that are going up under that, how big they might be. 'Cause there again, you might be able to do some root pruning there, but I realize that tree is fairly close to that driveway as well.
Right.
When they redid the driveway, was it? Anyone having to see just how bad the root development was under there?
There was, yeah, I mean, there were some that literally went all the way across the entire width of the driveway. Now they cut some of those out when they were doing their grading
Hmm,
to pull that out, but, again, it's
You-
already starting again, so.
Do you recall how much they had to remove from that root system when they did it back in 19?
I know there were at least two big roots that were coming through there.
Right.
I
Okay.
didn't look at all the other little roots.
any thoughts?
This is talk.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and I wasn't, like I said, with all the other trees in the yard, I mean, I didn't assume that this would even be a big deal. I mean, we're not trying to get rid of a lot of trees or anything else. I'm just trying to protect the property.
Well, I think the oak situation could be managed for a lot less price to put a barrier up against that, and many of the arborist companies are totally capable of doing that, and you can do it yourself if you have time or the willingness, but to prevent the roots from going under that slab, it didn't seem like a challenging wave of roots that was exposed. And I'm not, again, I'm also not sure that crack in the brick has anything to do with the presence of the roots. So I'm sort of leaning that way, because it's a salvageable tree. It's still in a good state of health considering its age. The pine trees, that's another issue. I'm curious why the cracks in the back rose up so soon, created themselves so soon, as opposed to the rest of the driveway in front of the fence. It's just immaculate. But if that's new since it's been installed,
Yeah, that just happened within the last year, which is now why we're concerned about getting it done as quick as we can. Yeah.
what do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I agree with you. That I don't understand, and I know a little bit about root growth, but I don't understand how that was a sizable crack on the other side of the fence, as I recall.
Yeah.
it's not likely that that happened within a year. I'm not saying it didn't happen.
No, I'm saying it's, we had it done in 2000, the beginning of 2020. This is 4 years later.
Right. Well, I thought you said it disappeared in the last.
No,
year.
it hasn't just appeared within the last year. That was 3 years after the concrete was poured.
Well, I think I could,
Been nice to have had that barrier that we were talking about. Might have prevented that, what you're dealing with now.
Yeah, I'm not sure what kind of barrier.
there are different kinds, you would need to speak with an arborist company, reputable ones. But there are several kinds. One is it's a herbicide impregnated fabric, and you can just dig a trench like, I think a foot deep in the area with, and you just apply it to your foundation. And it prevents roots. It's got a 15-year or so shelf life. And it prevents roots from, if a root touches it, it will burn those roots back, or it will divert them to run sideways. So it's something that has had some success in similar situations. Or you could just, you actually can pour concrete
Right.
if you choose, and just, the roots will hit that and divert and go another direction.
Yeah, but in this case, with between the house and the driveway, I mean, because the neighbor's concerned about her house, she just can't afford to.
Right, no, I'm sorry, I'm talking about the oak tree.
We're talking about the oak tree, not the
I
pine.
beg your pardon. So my feeling, Mr. Chairman, is it might be appropriate to grant removal of the oak, of the pine tree if it's going to put out a root that quickly. But deny the oak with these suggestions, they consider root valley.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way on that pine tree, especially if you had roots that have been removed before, and I don't know how those roots were removed. It certainly wasn't by an arborist, I wouldn't think. I'd be a little leery of that pine having some issues down the road. I mean, it's a beautiful looking pine to look at it right now, but I think the driveway issue is going to continue. And there may be some other issues up under the ground where the root systems are, where those roots were removed. We had the pavement done back in 19.
You have reduced strength of the root system, and you'd also have the potential for disease and rot. If they were not, as it was pointed out, it was probably not done by an arborist.
No, but construction company.
Yes, right. Okay, I can agree with those. So you want to make that as a motion, please?
I move that we, permit the removal of the pine tree, but, deny removal of the oak tree with the suggestion that the applicant investigate the use of root barrier.
Second.
Any more discussion?
That would be a lot less expensive.
Taking that tree down,
Yes.
as long as it does, yeah. Okay,
But I'm 70 years old, been in this house 37 years. It is our forever home, we're not moving, we're gonna stay right there. My concern is, and I appreciate the pine tree and you understanding that, because years ago, before this permit that Bill did, we just listened and did what we were asked to do. And then 2017, we've got boulders, we're driving over there, cracked bad. They even damaged our car tire. So anyway, but pushing forward, it cost us $15,000 to pour the cement driveway and to pour and fix everything. It's all broken. So I do appreciate that. I do, because I don't want to fork that money out again. I'm tired. Taught school 33 years, and I'm where I am. But my great fear is this oak tree. I mean, it is a fear of mine. I mean, we've had to have something done on the house already where we had to people go in there and raise it up and do something underneath it. I don't know. I don't remember all the stuff. And then I noticed the crack of it. So my fear is actually staying and growing and the roots growing. Again, our neighbors on both sides, they are not financially able to pay to have this done. I'm not dying to spend my money to cut a tree down, just cut it down either. But to help our property and to help our home, he's almost ready to retire. looking down the road, I mean, I've seen homes where people can't afford to do what they've got to do. They can't afford to do the repair. They can't afford all this stuff because they're limited income. And so I'm at that point where I'm pretty much begging. I'm afraid for this meeting. I'm afraid for everything today. I'm begging for you to understand where we are financially and where we're trying to help not just us, but our neighbors who are not able. And both have come out, they both are there. Bill Black,
Mike Black.
Mike Black, who works for the city. I mean, he takes care of all the city trees. He would never come out there. He loves trees. He wouldn't cut a tree down unless he thought it needed it. And he came and looked at both of them and said, these need to go. So that's where I am. That's my plans. I'm not embarrassed to tell you that financially, I won't be able to do this in 10 or 15 years. And, you know, I don't want my house destroyed. So it's fear of mine. And I do. And he and I have a beautiful tree in the back, a beautiful tree that at first I wanted to ask him to cut down to add a porch. And he didn't, because we built around it. And so we're not, like he's saying, out here to just take down trees. And I love Somerville. I love to sit on the trees. I do. But when it comes to my property, my finances, I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to have it. And I think it sounds easy to sit in a seat and say, you know, you this, but that's money. I mean, it's money out of our pocket that we may not have. So we're trying the best we can. And I beg you to look at that oak tree and understand where I'm coming from. That's my input, my vote.
I forget where we were in the process. We were going to more discussion. We had the motion that's seconded. Is there any more discussion? I think that another option is you can have a certified arborist come visit that tree and confirm your fears, the oak tree. The procedures that were mentioned are not expensive at all to protect the slab there. But if you're that concerned about it, I guess we didn't really feel the same threat level that you did, or do. I have very large trees next to my house and, maybe I don't think about them as much as I should, but, I couldn't stand them not to be there. So I would like to amend the motion that provided you get an arborist to come and write a letter signifying more threat than we saw when we were there, that we would then consider that application from the arborist. We still have agreed upon removing the pine tree for the reasons of the driveway. And is there any other thoughts or questions before we vote on the motion?
What is it we want the arborist to investigate, the root system or the structural stability of the oak?
Both. That's what we would hope. If the question is arise, it hasn't seen the tree for the first time, give it an evaluation. They're capable of getting in a tree, they're capable of doing a lot more things than we're allowed to do. So that is the amended motion. Any more discussion? Making a face.
No.
Oh, okay, okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So please do that and follow through. Thank you.
Will do. Appreciate it.
Next item of business is 105 Cromwell Court. Good morning. How are you?
Oh. Okay. So this is just about putting our shed in our backyard. And we have the river birch and I think there's a water oak that have root systems going underneath where we want to put the shed. And we have two options of what we wanted to do. Our first one was the sonotube, built down about 6 inches, at most, I think. And put the concrete down in 9 different squares or 9 different areas. Or get or get rocks, like, whatever, gravel, and grade the yard, because there's about a 4-inch grade from one side to the other. And put, dock pilings on top and build the shed on top of that. So we just want to get it approved to do one of those 2 options.
Does that microphone work?
I'm not sure. Can you hear now?
Yeah.
Put it a little closer.
Sorry.
It's okay. I'm hearing the hand motion, but I'm not hearing your voice any louder, but.
Okay, yeah, we're just
Still
trying
good.
to decide which option we would like to go with the sonotube in the ground with the concrete. But, if not, then we want to just be able to put the gravel down and the pilings on top of that.
Okay, we had a nice explanation of your husband when we were there, and so we pretty much see what was going on. And I think the reaction was favorable.
I think that using the sonotube is the best option for the trees, and it's the one that the applicant is opposed to. I would move to we accept the
Option 1.
application to encroaching the EPZ and suggest the use of the sonotube.
Okay, and there again, we're talking, 8-inch, which it clearly states right there on the printout. And also it's gonna be 2 on each side of the shed structure, right? I believe there will be placement of 2 on all sides of that shed, so I don't see a problem with that myself.
I agree. And I also want to say, I really appreciate the consideration shown by even asking us, coming to the town for putting a shed down in any way, shape or form with respect to the possible damage to the trees. Yeah, that's to be commended.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I move to approve the application for sonotube.
Option
Option
1,
1.
okay. Second.
Thank you.
All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? You have the sonotubes.
Thank you. Now, since I don't need a permit, can we just go ahead and start on the shed?
Your husband applied for a zoning development permit, which is pending this approval. So once I get downstairs after this meeting, I'll email you guys a copy.
Oh, okay.
of the permit, and then
Okay, thank
you're
you.
probably good to go ahead and start.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It's nice when we can work together, isn't it?
One 17 Pine Valley Drive. 1 Birch Tree.
Well, as I explained when you all were visiting, that my biggest concern is that the root system is already up against the foundation. And I'm concerned that damage will occur over time. And I really don't want to have to deal with the foundation damage that the tree may cause. Second item is that the tree has caused us other problems because we've had to spend money making the roof and the protrusions from the roof squirrel proof, because we've had squirrels that have used that tree to get onto the roof and to get into the attic and ruin the attic space and create problems. And the third item, which you all say is not an issue, but it's less than 10 feet from the house. And our concern is that according to what we read on your website, that it's not, you can't have a tree within 10 feet of a house of this size, so. That's our request.
I believe that wording was reflective of new construction and not existing construction.
Okay, but that's not clear from your website.
I know, and that needs to be clearer. I totally
It'd be
agree.
appreciated.
Yes.
But then that's left up to for us to make a decision on that. Is that not correct?
What?
It's left up to us that when there's 10 feet,
On existing home, yes, not on new construction. Again, we need to get that, needs to be made clearer, yes.
Thank you.
So discussions of the tree.
We got nothing easy today.
No, really not.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, you make my Monday challenging. It's good to be intellectual.
True Monday.
You know, as I've given your situation quite a bit of thought over the weekend, since we visited you last, and you know, the root that's growing towards the foundation hasn't caused any damage yet, and it could be removed and root pruned. The tree, the river birch, I think could be also pruned to eliminate some of these stronger branches that would support the weight of the squirrels so that they couldn't jump on the roof. I think all of that's possible. I also think that you know, we could consider removing that. It's a codominant. The tree has codominant leaders, and that smaller leader to the left that goes closer to the root. I thought, well, perhaps that could be removed, and that will help your situation. But as I think about it more, as I thought about it more, if we remove that leader, you leave a big wound that could possibly invite decay and cause problems with the tree later. And, you know, a river birch is not the longest living tree that we have in our area. They're gorgeous and they're
not
native
from here, so I don't know.
Not to be diminished.
Yeah.
But planted that close to our house, perhaps it wasn't the best selection by the landscaper we ever did. So I feel like I could support the removal of the river birch provided that ample mitigation is done prior to as part of the removal application.
And you had mentioned it looks sort of funky up front with the other big tree that was taken down.
We are going to be planting more trees.
So,
But this is, from my perspective, it's not the best time to plant trees because now we're moving into the first heat of the year and the tree's not going to like any of this.
Arbor Day in South Carolina is the first Friday in December.
Yeah, okay. Well, we figured that we'll do some planting in them.
yeah, it doesn't happen right now, but I agree with, what Danny just said, that I could support removing that tree, but to be mitigated with at least one canopy tree in the front yard.
Exactly,
Which
exactly.
our arborist could consult with you about species and all the rest of that.
Well, my wife likes red leaf maples. And that's what we're thinking of putting there. But I don't know how resilient they are in this area. And
And that would be good to kind of get with, yeah.
No, okay.
They have a hard time, but getting with Justin on that, he could certainly recommend some species that would work well.
We'll talk.
Any other thoughts?
No. No.
Any motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to allow removal of the river birch with stipulation that you do mitigate, get with the town arborist to find a suitable tree for your yard. Sounds good.
I second that. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Jason, I'll be in touch with you.
The next is 139 Spring Meadows Drive,
That's me.
removal of one pine tree adjacent to the driveway. Good morning.
Good morning. I think you've all seen it.
Yes.
I'm very concerned about the damage that it's already done to the driveway. It's starting to push at the slab under the garage. And it also drops branches and things. It's very close to the house. I have the full support of my next door neighbor, who's also concerned about the potential hazard from falling branches and the damage that it's doing to the ground.
It's a natural thing for pines to drop lower.
Sorry?
It's the natural thing for pines to drop lower branches.
Yeah.
That's, you might call that self pruning. Some
Right.
do.
Yeah.
And so that's a normal thing to happen. It's not up.
And I understand that it may be normal. I'm more concerned about it because it's in a high traffic area. When they fall, it's not like being hit by a falling pine cone. Do you know what I mean? Like they do fall in an area that I'm very concerned about.
In terms of human traffic.
In terms of human traffic
Yeah.
right there in front of the,
Well, that happens a lot in trees and usually it takes, when it's a big tree and it's high up, it
Yeah.
takes paying someone to come prune out the dead, so that they don't fall, because they're not there anymore. So that's one.
Yeah.
Option. Is there a photograph of the dry, there we go. So,
And like you
So
said, when you have
I'm-
someone come, if
sorry.
you have someone come and look at the tree and take out branches that are dead before they fall. And I had someone come to my house and I didn't realize I had as many dead limbs as I had. And I was amazed at what they took out and how much better it looked, of course. It was-
I'm recent, well, not so recently anymore. The last time I spoke to a tree sort of preservation board, it was called the Tree Preservation Board, was in the Sutherland Shire outside of Sydney in Australia. Where I had similar issues with damage to the foundation and the concrete of native there, gum trees. I've only lived in the house for a couple of years. And this has gotten considerably worse over the course of the time that I've been in there. So I just, because of my history with what ended up happening with the root system and the foundation of my house in Australia, which ended up doing damage. There was a window that went right down towards the ground, at the bottom, and it ended up forcing the bottom of that up, and the window, the whole, structurally, it was a bit of a nightmare. So I just wanted to nip it in the bud, because it seems to me to be pretty clear that it's going to be an ongoing issue with the size of that tree where it is so close to the houses and the driveway.
do we have, Justin, do we have distance measurements?
You've heard us talk about root pruning.
Yeah, 18 feet from the corner of
You've
the
heard
house.
us talk about root pruning with other people. And
Should I talk about root pruning with other people?
no, I'm saying you might have heard us talking to the other
Yes.
people
Yes.
about root pruning. And it's a whole lot less expensive.
Well, I'm not as worried about the expense as I am about the long-term safety and viability of everything. I would, as I said, from my previous experience, I would rather go through the expense of having it professionally removed and safely removed, then repair the driveway and get all of that sorted out, rather than have to do it from the other end, which is repair structure after it's gotten too far. If you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
As I said, only because my previous experience was I tried those things and it ended up becoming worse over time. It didn't solve the problem, in hindsight.
I'm just trying to recall the roots that are potentially going under the driveway. I mean, are they, okay, I see them there now. See some surface roots there. I just didn't know the extent of that. And if any digging has been done along the edge of the driveway to really expose, how big the roots are that are going under the driveway, how many, things like that.
I should have put the picture in there, right at the garage. Where the floor of the garage is, I'm concerned about it goes just out of frame.
Is it starting to lift in the garage too?
I feel like it's starting to separate. You know how the driveways have those little gaps in them?
Yeah. Mhm.
So I guess for weather and rain, you can see that the gap on that side in there is widening.
Right.
So it's not symmetrical, which indicates to me that it's pushing under that area.
But no cracks in the foundation of the garage area.
Not yet. As I said, I'm concerned and would like to get it done. I know it will be more expensive to have the tree cut down. And you know, when the roots properly ground back and all that, but as I said, for my own peace of mind and enjoyment of, and, you know, living in property, I don't like not feeling comfortable having my 4-year-old grandson go out and try and ride this little bike at Nana's house in the driveway. Because I'm worried about things falling down, and I just sort of feel, you know what I mean, that in totality of the whole picture, it may not be the least expensive way to go, but I do believe it's the safest and best in the long term.
There are two issues. To restate the obvious, there are two issues. One is you have concern that limbs may fall from the tree and injure someone. And that's always a concern, will always be a concern with any sort of tree on your property. And that this tree, my recollection is it looked pretty daggone healthy to me and vibrant. But all trees require, all trees in an urban, suburban environment require maintenance. I mean, they just do. So if someone were to come every 2 to 3 years and of course, as Faye mentioned, take out the dead, but also those that are alive, look at them, check their structural stability and prune them as needed. That's one issue, and that can be done, the tree can be rendered safe with maintenance. Driveway is the second issue. And, you know, I have in my notes that I made when we visited your property that if you were going to be replacing that driveway soon, and that would be a wonderful time and opportunity to study the root systems and root prune it then before the new driveway is installed. But if you're not planning to restore it right away, then I would think that trench alongside of it, having someone who knows what they're doing, trench alongside of it, and installing some sort of doing some root pruning, and maybe installing a root barrier would be the proper thing to do to save such an attractive and healthy wood. You know, that's my take on it.
My plan was actually to have the tree removed and then replace the driveway and have it all sorted out after, as opposed to doing it now, reliving my previous experience, having the problem not go away with a sort of Band-Aid along the way process and the other way. So that was my that was the order that I'd sort of done it, was to get the tree removed and sort out the problems, check the foundation, and then put in the new driveway after I had done.
Right, no, I understand.
As I said, I understand that it's not the most inexpensive way to go about.
Yeah, you've already said that the expense is not your major concern, so I'm not even thinking about that. I'm, you know, our charge as the Town Tree Protection Board is to conserve trees when it's appropriate. And as you've seen this morning, when it's not appropriate, we will grant the removal of trees. This is an instance where I just think this is a very healthy tree that deserves every opportunity to live and serve its purpose, if we can do that. But I don't want you to think that we don't understand the concerns that we do. So what we, perhaps a suitable compromise would be this. And that is that, if you were to contract with an arborist, quality arborist who does understand root systems, to trench along that driveway. And if that arborist agrees that root pruning will restrict roots from tearing up that driveway for 10, 15 years or so.
My concern about that is, or my understanding too, is that when you do that root pruning in that area, this is just from things I've read. And maybe I should have brought her with me. That tree is also very close to my next door neighbor's front porch. And that the tree will naturally, the roots will go in another direction, which is going to then present the same sort of problem for her on the other side. So, you know, she had come to me and said, you've got my full support. We're concerned about how close that tree is and everything else as well. And I didn't really, I said, I don't know that it will be necessary to come to the property.
Yeah,
That in fact, in the long term, it's going to be an ongoing problem.
Well, trees are an ongoing maintenance issue, I mean, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Trees in an urban, suburban environment, they are that, they're a viable, important part of our community that do. I'm sure the chief of searches, they do wonderful environmental things, because I'm sure you're aware, and so we need to protect them when we can. So the compromise I was suggesting, was to have someone look at, the possibility of root pruning, installing a root barrier. Parenthetically, my experience with root pruning, and I have some experience with it, is that they don't necessarily just grow elsewhere.
No, right?
That's not the physiology
Right.
of trees in general. But to have someone do that, and if it's a certified arborist, if the certified arborist says, we have looked at these roots, it's such an incredibly vibrant system. We don't think that, that installing root pruning and installing a root barrier is going to be successful in stopping these roots from tearing up the driveway within the next 5-7 years. Then let us know, reapply, and we'll consider removing the tree. But at this point in time, it's just a healthy tree. I have a hard time.
It's a beautiful tree. And it's been there a long time. I don't know how old it is, but it stood there, it's still there, and those root systems get stronger the longer it's there. And it's obviously got something going for it, or it wouldn't be there still, or it wouldn't look as good as it does. It's a beautiful tree. Yes, I'm a member of the Tree Protection Board, and I do love trees.
So if you guys deny the application, is there an appeals process or something like that? Or do I just have to then do something different and reapply under different circumstances?
Well, in this case, the suggestion was to have a qualified arborist come by and assess your fears, maybe be more qualified and physically able to do things, excavate with what they call an air spade, which doesn't even cut, it blows the soil away with air pressure, to examine the root system and whether or not that would be an exceedingly unacceptable threat to the tree. In which case, we would take great consideration of that opinion. And it would not be a reapplication.
Right, so it's not just going to do that as an arborist. Can you recommend arborists or someone? How does that work? Or can you come and look at it, or?
You would have to hire an arborist.
I have to
Like,
come.
for liability reasons, I think.
So have you guys a list of those people?
Sure, I could help you find one that's in the area.
So this is not slamming the door that you have to come back and all apply. This is an ongoing thing now. If you And I tend to want to agree with this because I feel the same way that has been discussed. And I also appreciate the driveway issue. And having a grandson trying to ride a bike on that. So no matter what, the driveway has to be fixed for that situation. And just in general, you trip yourself on it. But the order in which my colleague here described it, it would be more the way I would approach it, but I'm not you, and I'm not looking at the same reservations as you are. But I would want to agree with having someone take a look, an official arborist capable of assessing potential for this tree to continue destroying the driveway or to be harmed beyond repair, to remove what has to be removed to alleviate the current situation on the driveway.
Sorry, what was that?
Essentially a long-winded way of saying the professional.
Some of those routes, even if I just, to have the driveway repaired, they're gonna go anyway.
Correct.
I can't fix the driveway without that happening.
And this is what the,
But again, I sort of feel like doing that and leaving the tree ultimately makes the tree a bit more unstable.
that's exactly one of the, because I was,
And that, as I said, my hope was to, as I said, it's not that I don't appreciate trees. I love trees, and the area that I live in is surrounded by trees. Quite close to the back of what's gonna be the new Pine Trace Park. But I feel quite strongly that in this particular instance with this tree, given how close it is to both houses, what it's doing, that the best long-term solution is to cleanly remove the tree now. That's.
I understand.
And as I said, my peace of mind where it is. I've had.
Well, yeah, I think if you got,
Houses. I lived through the 1999 major hailstorm in Sydney where we had hailstorms.
right,
The size of grapefruit and all different kinds of national, disasters and what they can do to a roof in a house and anyway. So that's all I can say. I'm not a spring chicken. It's not as though I'm getting any younger and want it to be a problem that I can take care of now and would like to take care of.
Well, if you know how to get younger, let me know.
Sorry.
If you know how to get younger, let me know.
Well, I mean, I look after my 82-year-old sister who that's the side of the park she gets in on. And, so the driveway is an issue anyway, but as I said, I would like to, rather than do little things along the way, thank the tree for its service, but let it go now, then have to have it be an ongoing stressor and concern and worry and done a lot of work. It's an ongoing process. As I said, I come back after living 40 years.
is, are you willing to, have someone assess the tree more professionally?
I'm willing to do whatever. I feel quite strongly that it's a stopgap situation. And I would like to get on with it. It's been, the process for me has, started months ago. Because again, I've just come back where I wrote and put in the application to the HOA, who told me that it's fine with us, but it has to go to county. I did all the paperwork for county, which meant I had to go up to St. George to get the plat. and the plans and all of that sort of stuff only is submitted to Dorchester County, who then respectfully said, oops, this is actually Somerville, town of Somerville.
Hmm.
So you have to go and apply to them, which I did with you guys. I thought it was all sorted out from back in March, and I paid my $10 and I've done it all online. And for reasons that I'm still not sure that I understand, it didn't make it to the agenda for the March meeting or for the April meeting. And it got pushed back, and then I got worried again yesterday when I couldn't find May's meeting online in the agenda. But that's neither here nor there. I would like to be, you know, I've had quotes to have the tree removed. I haven't had quotes yet to have the driveway redone. And I've, you know, they've, and I can't tell them to go ahead. I suspect some of those quotes will now be outdated, so let's get that figured in. I would like, as I said, to in my previous life, I was an elementary school principal in Sydney, Australia, and when we had to have trees removed on school premises, it was even more of a sort of process. But I would very much just like to be able to get on with it and have it removed. If I can't have it removed, then I just, you know, it goes on.
We have a tree ordinance that we are obligated to follow.
Yeah.
And that is our guideline. And it's a strong tree ordinance. We've had other municipalities call us and wanted to pattern their tree ordinance after ours. So it's good.
And I confess, I didn't go through and read the ordinances in great detail, but my understanding from the scanning that I've done, that given how close it is to the house, the damage that it has already done, that's getting worse. That in fact, because it's so close to the house, it also poses more of a hazard with the dropping branches, that it wasn't going to. You know, I'm not a hater of trees. I wouldn't be living where I'm living if.
How many,
But you know, there are times when,
how many feet is it from the house? Do you know?
are the plans there? Well, that's the corner of the house there.
Yes,
You can see where it's
18
raised.
feet from the corner of the
18
house.
feet.
But it would be not as far as from me to you, to the house. So when you come out of the, my guess is it's about that far.
She said 18 feet. You're not 18 feet away.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Are the plans there? Did I put in the plans that I got from, you can,
The plans aren't in there, but I did measure it. It was 18 feet from the corner of the house.
because I had gone to, as I said, I'd gone to, St. George. I thought I put them in with the application.
Well,
This says it's located approximately 18 feet from the corner of the house and 8 from the edge of the driveway.
I would still feel more comfortable if we had someone look at it. It's almost like another professional opinion, an arborist to come and evaluate your concerns and report the letter back to our arborist. And then we go from there.
I agree.
It's not that the door is shut or the book is closed. It was just, it is a delay. I'd feel more comfortable with that for all the other reasons that were mentioned.
Gathering more information is always good.
There's no chance for a gravel driveway on your property in your subdivision.
There's no gravel, the HOA, there are no gravel
Yeah, I know.
driveways in the development. You can't have a gravel driveway.
Yeah, I know, that's unfortunate, because this happens a lot. And if construction were done in a different way, the disappointment with gravel driveways would be less if it was accommodated for and they wouldn't wash into the streets, but that's another whole nother issue that isn't here. Do you have anything more for?
No, I don't. I think we've addressed everything and we just need more information. And I think by having a certified arborist come out there and take a look at it, but also give you a little peace of mind, either one way or the other. If you feels like the roots are going to be a problem, you can't do anything if you're going to try to reconstruct that driveway, but remove some large roots or something like that. And then we'll certainly take a look at that as a possible way to have the tree removed. Otherwise, I think he'll probably offer, suggestion of put a root barrier down there. And hopefully you would understand that as well. Give you a little peace of mind that, you shouldn't have any issues with the driveway going forward.
So I'll move that we, do we not approve removal of the tree, but that the owner please consult a professional arborist to assess the root potential damage of the tree to the driveway in the future and then recommend a mode of treatment. Any other suggestions?
No.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We'll hear from you again, ma'am.
So does the committee then email me this information or the decision, or how does it work? Just do I get sent stuff? Sorry, are you Remy?
I am Remy. Yeah.
Please, I'm set.
It's nice to meet you.
No worries. So you'll send me all of this information?
Yes,
and you can recommend, or is there a place I can find licensed arborists?
Yeah, so we're not allowed to recommend, but I can
Right.
send you, we have a list of every arborist in the town who's insured, bonded, and has their business license, and I can just send you that list, and then anybody you pick on, it'll be a good pick.
Right.
I can get that to you hopefully later today.
But they sometimes also people who remove trees.
Oftentimes, yeah.
Because I'm wondering if the person that I've had come out and look at it is in fact an arborist, or
Yeah.
not just the trees. Okay.
And if they are, yeah, I can send you that information, but you just wanna ask them for their ISO number, to see if they are certified. And if you wanna email me the name of the company, I can take a look for it as well. But I'll be in touch with you either this afternoon, or tomorrow morning, and any questions, feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
I can also say that the International Society of Arboriculture certifies arborists, and you can look on their website and find arborists in this area that are certified by the International Society of Arboriculture.
Thank you.
Making sure you get somebody that's certified, not just a nice tree guy. Getting someone that's certified, not just a nice tree guy.
No, that's what I'm saying. Let me send me a list of all the certified ones. So
Yeah.
That's
That's important.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you for your patience. Next is 111 Blossom Way. Hi. Oh, good. How are you?
So, initially we had asked for 7 trees to come down, with the idea of a pool, but one is very dead, as you know, that. Anyone's arguing for that. And the 3 closest to the house, I guess, were initially denied. Is that
When
not true?
there's been no
So
action.
although I had a tree guy who was coming to give me a start of this process, so if I seemed a little not aware of how it all began, that's what happened, and I explained to him I had no intentions of going with this company. He's like, oh, well, I'll just get the permit started, so to my knowledge, that's what happened. This is really my first.
Yeah, Justin, you aware of any of that?
I know that Becca had evaluated this before I was on.
Oh, that was, okay.
You know,
Yeah, this is in the.
Yeah, okay, yes.
And I would like these 7 trees.
Right.
removed. And we're happy to put in more trees. We love trees and saw from the backyard. I'm keeping about 300. So, if we're happy to put
Yeah,
in
you've been most fortunate to have that sliver of forest behind the back of your house. Yes, it is.
I don't want, I want to take down minimal trees. But to do a pool, there's certain ones that it would affect. And then my other concern is digging something as big as a pool. How the root systems on trees that I may have left would be affected.
Depends on how close you get. And that's a whole nother set of advice that would need to be sought after if you were concerned. Well, we looked at all the trees, the 4 trees, 1 through 4, we called them, including the big pine tree, and then I guess it's a gum and 2 water oaks. Very comfortable, I'm very comfortable seeing them removed. The problem with the 3 trees next to the house is that in order to facilitate a larger pool, all of them would have to come out. There may be 2 trees there that are getting older and maybe have some slight concerns, but I don't really remember many, except this week had a couple of dead branches. But the large willow oak on the right-hand side as you're at the backyard looking at the house, I can honestly see. I could not in any way be comfortable having to remove that tree. And it's so close to the house that I'm wondering if the pool you really wanted the pool to be that close? Would you put the pool all the way in the footprint of where those trees were?
No, the pool would go a little further out, but some of the decking, which I'd like to do minimal decking.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't want a bunch of concrete back there, I want to keep a lot of it.
Right.
That's what would be in that general area.
Mhm.
So you're saying out of the 3, if I'm looking out my back porch, the one to the right is the one you're most comfortable with getting?
Yeah, but I'm not comfortable with the other ones either, but that's just really, even though it's leaning a little bit, is leaning away from the other trees, because that's the way they grow. There's really nothing wrong with any of them, but you would have to remove all 3 of them to accomplish what I was in my mind, which is now not correct, because you could work around. The decking is more flexible than well, concrete can be flexible too. But anyhow, that's just my thoughts about the tree, but let me pass it on to the others. Who has comments?
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. Those 3 up, close to the house, certainly looked okay to me. I didn't see a reason to remove them. But there again, why haven't you applied for the permit for the pool yet? You're just waiting for the tree.
Right.
These trees, ideally, this is what I would like to do.
Mhm.
If those trees don't go, I'm back at square one and maybe putting in a door on the other side of my porch, because I have to go to the pool where there are no trees currently, which is not in spots in my yard.
But the 4 that we will, 3 in particular, remove, open the greatest general area. The gum and the 2, it created a rectangle. The pine does nothing for your pool, right? The dead pine, that's not going, pools, yeah.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
No, it's gonna.
No, that's
Yeah, it
absolutely
needs to
fine.
go.
Denny?
We have photographs,
We didn't have any photographs.
because I'm trying to remember the 3 oaks.
Sliding through, I thought I was next, because I thought my house came up on here.
The root list is different than the.
Thanks for your patience. It was a long one this morning.
I was afraid to talk in front of a bunch of people. But I don't worry about that
Well,
now.
they're okay back there. They're working back there. They have things to do.
We're happy to put in many trees, maybe even trees of y'all's recommendation that are good for the area, on the perimeter.
It's pretty tree covered there, as I recall. When even removing the ones in the middle, you got trees on the periphery already. There's a point of, I don't even remember the front yard, you had that massive tree that you wanted to
We're gonna try to decide.
cut the trim back.
Can I see your plan, please?
I don't know. If there's a ton of area to do any mitigation.
It was pretty tight.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm just thinking, you know, if you use this design, and I'm not sure about the dimensions and all that. And we're taking out those other trees that need to be removed. Could you go back and replant something between the pool and the wooded area? I'm trying to recall if there's room there to do that.
I have a picture on my phone if you guys would like to see that of my trees.
That could be helpful.
I just didn't know.
They're right, those three oaks are right in here, I think, generally.
I thought there was more over here.
Yeah, me too.
Well, that's why I wanted to see a photograph, because I just couldn't remember.
Yeah.
No additional decking there.
Okay.
You can't see the third one there, but it will.
And where are they where are those trees in relation to what you've got here?
The three that I'm talking about are just.
Right in the center.
Right back.
Okay, I got you.
But that's still the pool confirmation either way. Those trees go or stay. That configuration of the pool the same? Or
So
the,
that's where I haven't got a permit, because maybe if we don't get the approval for these trees, maybe I have to
She
go
has
back
to-
to the design and move my.
yeah, right, but what I'm saying is this shape here, is that gonna stay that way, whether you remove the trees or not, and it's more the decking and all of this that matters for the three big trees?
Where the shape of the pool will stay the same, it would probably move over if we didn't approve the trees, and then yes, the concrete would adjust around it. That way.
Yeah, but you said you want the decking too, where's the?
No, that's
the decking.
considered decking, pool decking.
Okay.
It can be neighbors, concrete, it can be actual
Okay,
deck.
I was thinking you would because you're this is within a, if they're in a,
The thought, we will
Yeah.
have to hold on the actual design
Okay.
versus what is the blank template that I can work with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
I realize the yard is already has a lot of trees on it, but you know, when they remove those other trees that looks like we're gonna approve, is there any room there to plant additional trees? If we do allow some of these other trees to go and be mitigated for?
I didn't think so, but I didn't study the yard with respect to that as much as I could have. I think Justin did. I mean, it's a pretty tight yard. And the pool there is, you know, reason for the pool and removing the trees is not just to have space, but also can't have trees inside the pool, of course, and then you want to have sun. So that's going to be a sunny area. It's going to be not huge. But I just am uncomfortable with taking those big trees down. I really am.
I do feel I have space between for the back of the pool and the back of the tree line, not my property line. I feel I could absolutely put more trees, and I'd be happy to.
But all three of them would have to go.
I'll put it in five.
But to compensate for the very significantly sized trees that they are now, the contribution to everything that they do, it'd be long-term recovery, to be planting, you know, young trees in the back.
I do understand that. I am also keeping so many. Amount of trees on my property would still be quite great, and I
Oh,
will always leave it that way.
There's no problem with the number of inches per acre that you have, that's for sure.
Justin, can you recall, just based on where the pool's gonna go, between the pool and that back tree line, how much room we have there?
You know, it's hard not being able to, hard to visualize it like that, just looking at that pool plan real quick and knowing how much of that, how far up that deck is going to extend, how, you know, I don't want to say either way.
Yeah.
I will say it's worth noting that a lot of pool plans come back, and there's a lot of, you know, altering them to make work for the site, so it's not always the first pool plan you submit. But the department that gets approved, so a lot of times you have to kind of alter it anyways, to work around certain things.
I mean, can you go back to the pool company and with the idea that we're gonna leave those 3 trees there, try to come up with another design that might work in your
I mean,
situation?
I'll bring. Yeah, that's about.
Okay.
It's always nice to have a little wiggle room. It's always nice to have a little wiggle room that you can adjust for needs.
What were you starting to say?
Just the natural flow of how, you know, these trees would be right on top of my pool unless I put my pool completely in the back of my, it really, unfortunately, they're just right in the center.
This is another thing we deal with all the time. I honestly can't at this point agree with removing those 3 trees. Just because of their health and their contribution and what you've heard more than one time, what we're supposed to be doing. Is there any more discussion?
No. I think we talked.
I'm gonna go ahead and move that we approve the 4 trees, 1 through 4, and deny removal of trees 5 through 7, which are the ones nearest the house.
Second.
Any more thoughts? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm assuming. Good morning. I am Andrew Todd Burke, a landscape architect with Kimley Horn. This is Alex Frattarelli, also with Kimley Horn.
Yes, sir.
Got you before.
Yes, I was unable to attend that site visit, so Alec and a different Andrew.
Yes.
with our staff there. So thank you for your time there, of course. We are here representing the Climate Trading Partner Companies. So I know you guys had some discussions on site. This is likely older. We have some updated that we did submit. But just wanted to kind of lay out the lay of the land here. I heard some of the concerns that came from you all during the site visit. And I just wanted to just kind of lay out kind of all the things that we're working with here on this site. Yeah, you can go ahead. Yeah, so I mean, the first thing is that, you know, we have worked with staff and
Thank you.
you know, submitted at least one other site plan that we had done several iterations of this site to accommodate multiple things, including tree safe areas. So you can see one of the plans in front of you will have a alternate layout in which there was little, if any, trees being saved on site. So we were able to.
This is the first iteration.
This is,
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
so that's just one of the.
Thank you.
You know, communicated on site. I apologize there. But so, you know, we've gone through several iterations and, you know, so this is the first project of many of which you will see coming through for the West Hill development. So we get the pleasure of going first on many items. So we're working with the West Hill DAT, which is their design assistance team. You know, the Somerville DRB and yourself as well. So we have kind of lots of different things happening, but just if you don't mind just pulling up the site plan, even though it's a little bit older, just wanted to just talk about some of the constraints we have. So you can see the 2 entrances into our site are actually roads that they're streets within the West Hill development. So we have little opportunity to be able to move them just per the West Hill guidelines that we're able to follow. So those need to be located, you know, where they are. And then additionally, some other things that we're working on this site is the site needs to be raised in order to create positive drainage for the site. So our outfall for our stormwater is on the northwestern side of the site. So we have to get the water up over there to the west, the next parcel has an existing ditch that runs through there, and that is where the water is going currently. As these sites develop, that will change a little bit, but going first, that's our really only opportunity. We have very minimal flow that we are allowed to release into the existing ditch on North Maple. That's a DOT road, and we cannot increase the amount of water that's going there now. We are unable to increase that. So we have to raise the site up in order to push the water to the back. And you can see on the updated site plan in front of you, we had to add an additional pond to the site. And that is simply to be able to get that water to actually flow.
Which one are we looking at now?
The one that has the colored trees on it.
Okay,
And so just, totals wise, looking at it, we are requesting 90 tree removals.
You said 71. You
That
said-
was just what was listed on the initial application.
We had sent you some updated plans. Sorry that. they didn't get in front of you.
It just
Yeah.
didn't get, when it goes to the staff report, it just gets pulled out of whatever's listed in the application. So
Okay.
that number just wasn't updated based on the. new
Yeah.
plan.
And so, with the multiple iterations that we've had, we were able to shift things over and save a really good grouping of bee trees. And we thought that, based on the operations of the site, the limited flexibility we have on the entrances to the site, we wanted to be able to save a cluster. And so, we picked an area that had the highest graded trees that still was enabled the site to function with its operations, and save some trees on the corner there. And also, this is kind of the entrance into Somerville from the highway, the entrance into West Hill, and we thought that backdrop of pine trees would be appropriate. There is some discussions on the corner, where there's a gap where there's no existing trees up there.
Right.
Limited welcome to Somerville sign. Right there. So that's something that West Hill and the town of Somerville and our client are working together over.
that whole area is just gonna get one sign? And I know the blank area you're talking about, it's obviously utilities and stuff in there, right?
Yeah, so if you look at the site plan, you can see right on the corner, there's a blank area.
Yes.
So somewhere in there's discussions about it. I think it's gonna ultimately come down to the town of Somerville and if they want the sign there, but that's been reserved.
Any other plans for that vacant ground? Landscaping?
We have a full planting plan, that will happen. The vacant land, I'm sorry, what?
The barren, the empty land, if you will, in the corner.
So far, no, I mean, I believe what is happening is the town is in discussions with the master developer for West Hill. And they had talked about just kind of leaving that area blank as they figure out what they might want to do there for that, so.
But not leave it the way it is.
Well,
I
the
mean-
trees will be able to stay there, because that's, we're not grading in that area, but, that's, to my
Yeah,
knowledge, that's what's happened there.
and that will not be affected by grading with those bee trees, obviously, because it couldn't stay there.
Correct, so from that first iteration, we were able to shift everything closer to the western entrance off of North Maple and be able to leave that area at grade.
So what I'm trying to get at is, that's a bunch of grass there in that corner. I mean, it's a pretty good sized area. It will be, what, I'm surely the landscape plan that's included in the landscape plan,
Oh, absolutely, yeah, so.
because that would bring your corner concept to be even more powerful.
Agreed.
Sign or no sign, we could do more trees than signs.
So working
Mike.
with the West Hill DAT, the thought process for that corner is to plant a variety of shrubs, native grasses, but not any trees at the moment because we're not sure where and if that sign might go. So in that particular corner, we're not proposing any additional trees. However, we are proposing trees everywhere else we can possibly fit them on the site.
Well, there surely should be something there too. I mean, anyhow, I'll let it go.
Good there.
Well, it'd be nice to know what the future of that is, and I understand if you're having to negotiate, this seems like a trivial thing, but negotiate the placement of a sign. That shouldn't preclude future plans for, additional landscaping. Again, to enhance what you've done, which is a good thing, to have that cluster of pines almost on the corner, but not quite. You got a big vacant lot in front of it, on an angle as you drive from Maple Street into
Right,
the
so
old part of
that
town.
area was envisioned, so the DAT gave us some, we had a conversation with them last week and. Chris Campo, who's,
Yes.
also in the DRB, is the leader of the DAT for West Hill and imagines that area as what he called a pine savanna. So he's imagining native grasses,
Okay,
maybe some sable minor in there, with the natural canopy of the pine
Sure,
trees. And then
okay.
towards the back, we could add kind of, if you think about kind of connecting that area, we could add some more pine trees and it would kind of create a ring a little bit, kind of framing that point.
I'm glad he's involved in that.
Yes, he is absolutely involved. I think there's anything else to chat about that, I know you guys already chatted on site.
Well, there was a request that to do everything you could to find a few more places to save some trees, and I wondered if there was any success in that effort.
Well, actually, the almost the opposite happened, and the DAT has advised us to try and not save the 2 trees that we have kind of next to our little patio area next to the building, but we pushed back on that and said that we would like to save those trees. So that area is going to be able to remain at grade. If you look at the 2 trees, it's on the plan on the side as well, but the 2 B trees directly to the east of the building, we're able to create circulation and a small outdoor eating area that will be able to keep that area at grade. So those 2 trees can be saved there.
I'm sure even
These 2
But in order to have proper
On the right
drainage and
side,
all
yeah.
that, everything else is gonna have to be
thanks.
Right, about 3 feet.
3 feet is. Okay.
In some cases, a few more. It's kind of the unfortunate part of coming first here.
Yeah.
That we have there is no drainage system for West Hill set up yet. It's really gonna be
Really?
parcel by parcel as we move to. the
Trees are
west.
not gonna
So
survive that.
Wow.
We have to start it by.
Trees are not
lifting
gonna
our
survive
second
that
dam
kind
to
of
get our water.
population.
That's why they're having to
That,
remove so
that could
many.
turn out to be a war among properties, no?
Well, I mean, I think, I think
Drainage.
it's part of many, kind of large, multiple parcel, master plan sites, and it's pretty standard that, as the development goes, you pick up the neighbor's drainage and, either send it
Oh,
to your
okay.
system or send it to the ultimate outfall, depending on, where you fit within the.
I'm sure these things are figured out, but it just sounds sort of awesome in a way. We're gonna be on the high ground.
Right.
Okay.
So you think moving forward with this whole thing being developed, which it certainly will, is gonna have to require grading or bringing in fill for the rest of these properties too, or is that too hard
I
for
mean,
you
I
to say?
just speak for a little bit. I mean, I don't want to go too far, but we have been involved in a few other of the ideas, but really it's been preliminary.
Mhm.
So I don't think that every single site will have to come up 3 feet.
Okay.
I think it's really gonna depend on, because, the ditch that I'm talking about directly to the west here is not the only outfall for the entire West Hill project. But for right now, that's where this site has the ability to drain. So I think it's gonna be a mix to be, if I were to guess, but honestly, I wouldn't want to speak with any authority,
Sure.
having not looked at the entire site.
I guess also the landscape plan, has that been finalized or is that something that's in development now for this site?
Well, finalized is an interesting word. We have done it. We have done several iterations of it. Has been submitted to the town's DRB
Okay.
this previous Friday. So we will be hearing from them on what they think about it. We've also submitted it to the West Hill DAT and we've received some comments back. So our thought is between the DAT comments, which essentially they wanted more. And the DRB's comments, we feel like we can get those 2 together and hopefully it can be finalized.
Okay. Any idea how many canopy trees we're talking about on those plans?
Yes, I would say. Because, all right, so if we can think about it, and we should have brought one, I apologize. There are trees lining both roads coming in.
Mm-hmm.
There are trees within the parking area. And there are additional trees along the business park roadside. And then some more interior to the site. So I had 35 40, somewhere in there would be my guess right now.
Okay, I mean, do you have trees included around the retention ponds and all?
Yes, we
Okay.
do, outside of obviously, being able to access that, right? We
Yeah.
have an access easement around it, but outside of that, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, so like up Business Park around the interior, like I said, there are trees lining all of the roads. So yeah, I mean, we are also including North Maple, creating a streetscape,
Okay.
with under the DATs, or I'm sorry, the West Hill guidelines, they have like it's a set of planting design scheme guidelines, and part of that is creating a streetscape with as many trees as possible along North Maple.
Okay.
And I believe that is intended to continue, throughout the
Mhm.
developments.
How deep is that? What's the offset that will be?
So from the road,
Yeah, off of the sidewalk.
right, yeah, so the sidewalk, I would say, is at its closest point, you can see it kind of sways a little bit, at its closest point is probably about 8 to 10 feet from our property line. And then we have a series of utility easements.
Right.
We have gas and power. And that's 20 feet. Yeah, so inside of our property line is the closest we can plant trees, and we're putting them right there.
Okay,
So if you look at our property line, 20 feet up, and that's where we are, providing our streetscape.
and how deep would that planting be?
Oh, so. say it's a
Again, it would vary.
That's where we can fit the tree. We are able to do shrubs and, perennials and native grasses inside those easements. But we're unfortunately,
Can't put trees
utility
in,
companies,
no,
we can't put
right.
trees. So it will be about probably 10 to 15 feet deep with the trees being on the back edge.
Okay.
As close as we can put.
Well, that sounds very nice.
Yeah, we have planting, I mean, it's surrounding there, and there's gonna be even more than what we currently have, because the DAT said we want more.
DAT, you keep, what's the stand
The
for?
design assistance team.
As,
Yeah,
as part of the West,
basically Chris Campo, representing the West Hill development team. So I think he helped them create their design guidelines, and he is, along with some other representatives in the West Hill, leading the charge on design review. It is, they're calling it the DAT, and this is from his words, because they are here to assist us through the process of having projects that follow the West Hill vision and also are able to navigate their way through the town's approval process.
Okay.
So, yeah,
it's a complicated work.
and he is unable to review the plans through the DRB because he's part of this
Right.
development team, so he's recusing himself from that, but is able to chime in on the West Hill front.
I hope the rest of the DRB
Right,
accepts his wisdom on those things.
yeah, he's getting his, he's getting his review in there through the DAT process rather than the DRB process,
okay.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It just, hopefully the DRB will act favorably upon the DAT recommendations.
I mean, we are once again the first, so we're the guinea pigs here, so we're gonna find out.
Good.
We do have conceptual approval, and we're going for preliminary through DRB.
Okay,
Don't know if I anticipate us getting through, but we needed to kind of get everyone's comments together. Because we have multiple people creating comments on these plans, and that can get very confusing.
I appreciate that.
Also, the utilities, I guess I'm thinking more electrical and all that. Is that gonna be underground, or is it gonna have anything above ground?
I believe I believe it's underground currently.
Okay. And so trying to put all that in underground, the trees that we're trying to save, that shouldn't be a conflict there, trying to make sure those trees are okay.
No, we don't have any utilities running through our tree save areas. Luckily, I think everything we have. With the exception of Stewart, which is going to the north and then west, everything's coming off of North Maple in front. We're able to just shoot straight into the building there.
Gotcha.
But you will notice, and this is part of our, what we have to do is, the north end of the site, and this is on the new site plan, multicolored trees, you'll notice we have a few removals proposed as we have to send our sewer line up to the north of the site and head to the west. And that was mandated, by by the master developer for us to extend the sewer. So this sewer line will serve multiple projects, to the west.
Can you point that out? I'm still continually getting lost on this diagram.
Right here, that's why these trees are big.
They had originally been going to be saved.
Correct,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
we were told that we need to run that.
And
sewer
where-
line, to serve future.
I understand. Where were the two trees that you said you ended up saving in the interior?
Oh, right here in this patio area, these two great beams.
Oh, the X's are still, oh, no, they're not.
No, just
Okay.
on the 1D that's in there, we didn't feel that.
No, but the two blue X's,
Yeah.
they're not there anymore. I was looking at the wrong trees. Thank you. Any comments?
I'm good.
What are we in a position to do now?
This is just a conceptual view of their plan, so primarily. any recommendations, that's on the, and recommendation. Thank you for time to provide them.
We don't have the landscaping plan.
Yeah. But, based on their verbal explanation of the landscape.
I can weigh in a little bit too, just so you know, that the West Hill guidelines recommend, I believe it's a minimum of 75% native plantings.
Wow.
And they have, I think they have their own list of plants, which then we need to cross-reference with some of those plants. And then, of course, our client has their own list of plants. But I can guarantee you it'll be at least 75% native.
The West
I can
Hills
put that in.
will prevail, right?
I'm not sure at this time, yeah. Hopefully it'll be an easy way to, but yes, I mean, West Hill, they won't, so their approval is tied to the contract for the problem. So yes, they will need to be appeased, otherwise none of this is happening.
Because I
I can
would,
tell you that much.
okay, because I would think they might have a more stringent requirement than would be the owner.
Correct.
And that's what I would hope would prevail.
Oh, yeah, like I said, the approval from, it's a site plan approval is what they're calling it,
Right.
but it really includes the landscape and the site and kind of multiple things. That is tied to the sale of the property. So yes, absolutely, they
Okay.
will need to be appeased, otherwise none of this happens.
Where is West Hill from?
There's a conglomeration of owners, some of which are local, others are.
It's a different world. We don't get to deal with this too much. A complicated world.
Yes.
So we're not in a position to approve.
No,
But I appreciate we work to put it all together. The only recommendation we could have would be a prayer that maybe you can find something else, but I'm appreciating that maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one easy grab might be, as we dive into our full stormwater analysis, is, the way that pond kind of scoops down a little bit, that narrow portion.
Right.
If we don't need that, certainly with that up, be able to at least save that one tree there. That might give us more flexibility to save another 9-inch pine on the other side. And then, looking at our grading of the road, there's a 17-inch pine right along the curve. Might be able to see what we can do to kind of pull that grading in a little bit and be able to, make sure we're not disturbing that tree so much and save that. So, we're certainly looking for it. So yeah, absolutely. When we come back to you for approval, if there's anything we can do in order to save, some additional trees, we'll certainly do it.
That's the kind of creativity I would like to see.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, it's really like, for now, like I said, I think, this is conceptual, and we're still working through a lot of different UHCs before we're even able to take the time to go through and, do that full hydraulic study, to really understand how much pond space that we need. For right now, we feel comfortable with this, but if we're able to shrink it, absolutely.
All right. That's music to our ears, so good. Any other comments or questions?
No, sir.
All right, well, I don't think this requires a motion. So we thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for all your hard work.
We will see you again, hopefully soon. but
Yes.
unknown.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thanks for everything. No, I appreciate it. I mean, it's us too, you know, we gotta move the target here.
Yeah. Also, I did have a question for you.
Yeah.
Because I saw that you guys had resubmitted a few plans to citizens. I was wondering, I know now it's making sense. Yeah, but I felt like you had brought this for the-
Yes.
Did that change at all with the new site?
No, yeah, that would,
Is there any reason?
yeah,
I was digging through my emails.
Sure.
Oh, it's there.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if you
And there's a potential that we may need to get back out. Once our cycle stops moving, to make sure all of the trees close here would get rid of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
All right,
but
just
we'll
let me
send it-
know.
yeah, we can.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks
All right.
everyone for your time.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
You do. Yes, I move we adjourn.
Second. All those in favor of the motion to adjourn, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.